There's a growing portion of the population who detest holidays. Personally, I dread the coming of every single one of them. If I look at my calendar and I see a holiday approaching, my sperm count lowers dramatically. It just seems like most holidays exist to be annoying. Places get closed, and everybody expects you to smile, act a certain way, and be excited. People will often give you crap if you don't want to celebrate a holiday. Most holidays are unnecessary. There are way too many of them, and a lot of them exist to boost the economy or to rekindle the broken spirits of people. For instance, Valentine's Day. It's a day to celebrate love, but why do you need a holiday for this? Well, there are some important things to break down about holidays. An argument that's not particularly new is that most holidays are economy boosters. It's hard to rebut that, but a lot of holidays didn't start off that way. Christmas and Easter were started to celebrate Christ, love, joy, and all that stuff. But as time went on, it became more materialistic. Now, Christmas is often seen as a stressful time for some people because of all the planning, organizing, and decorating. But to add to all that, now you have to wonder if some ungrateful 6-year-old kid is going to like whatever version of a game that you got him. Now, some people have spending limits for each gift. Nothing wrong with that, but if you get someone an expensive gift, say a bag of Brazilian pistachios, there's a chance that the other person might call you cheap. It's ungrateful, but it's also unfortunate that during certain holidays, people expect gifts. Meanwhile, stores want you to take advantage of their sales and buy their decorations. They'll encourage you to buy cards and chocolates for your lover on Valentine's Day. Don't be cheap. Spend your money or you don't care about your spouse. Black Friday is designed specifically for consumer purposes. In America, lots of people will line up in front of stores hours before they open up, so that way they can get all kinds of stuff that they don't need at lower prices. Now, sometimes they make use of it and get their Christmas shopping done a month early. In the long run, it does save a lot of time and trouble, especially if you plan on traveling, but some people are content with their belongings until they hear that a newer, better object than what they already own is priced just right. Sometimes poor people will feel guilty if other poor people buy gifts for them. It's also really hard for less fortunate kids to see the richer kids get bigger things. But if you give kids lots of expensive things at a really young age, they'll likely feel entitled. And it's going to be hard for them when they become adults and they get a rude awakening and you stop buying them big gifts. Speaking of entitlement, you also have some people who expect you to treat them extra special on their birthday. Maybe that wouldn't be so bad if you were a kid, but to everybody else, it's just another day to them. Some people hate their birthday because they notice that some people will treat them nice and special that one day, and then any other day they'll act more subdued, less nice. And there are way too many holidays. Some of them can be combined together. And then a lot of them celebrate morals like love and forgiveness, but why do you need a day of the year for this? With Mother's Day and Father's Day, you can show appreciation for your parents. But why have two of them? And on top of that, both holidays are a month apart from each other. I see no logic. If you really want these two holidays, why not combine them together and make Parents' Day? Well, technically there already is a Parents' Day, so what's the point of having 3 holidays for the same purpose? Look at some of the religious holidays. You have Christmas to date the birth of Christ and Easter to celebrate the resurrection of Christ. The spirit and vibe that you'll pick up from classic stories and movies is that Christmas is about sharing, giving joy, spreading love, that basic stuff. Meanwhile, Easter is about praising Christ. Essentially the same thing, so why celebrate 2 days of it? If you're Christian, then you can assume these traits throughout the year. In fact, you don't even have to be Christian to do this. You could just be an atheist, you could be any other kind of person to do this. Similarly, if you are Jewish, Yom Kippur is about atonement and forgiveness. A noble cause, but why do you need a holiday to do this? Memorial Day and Veterans Day are humble and graceful days. There's definitely a justified purpose in having a holiday for people who've died in the army and protected your freedom. The difference between them is that Veterans Day is to celebrate everybody living and dead who served in the army, but Memorial Day essentially honors the dead. But why have 2 of them? Why not just combine their purposes and celebrate Veterans Day? In fact, if you want to talk territory, the idea of Memorial Day has been practiced since before the American Civil War, and Veterans Day became a holiday in World War I. What you could do is just repurpose Memorial Day to fit all of the military. To pick on Valentine's Day even more, Valentine's Day is a day of love. Go out with your spouse, get juiced, and then come home, sit by the fireplace, and seduce each other. Fun stuff, really. But if you truly love each other, then you wouldn't need a holiday to go out to dinner or get each other cards. Hell, some of the more spiritual and minimalistic types of people would say that the best and most romantic moments of their relationship don't involve spending money or giving and receiving possessions. Sometimes a conversation and a walk together goes a long way. And then you have holidays that are based on myths and superstition. Groundhog Day is stupid. People actually believe that a groundhog seeing its shadow will cause winter to continue for 6 more weeks. That's a superstition, and I don't believe in those. They make life a lot harder than it should be. I hate to break it to you, but winter will continue for 6 weeks regardless if some random groundhog sees its own shadow or not. The date of Groundhog Day is February 2nd, and the start of spring will usually be in mid to late March. What a needless thing to get worked up over. Thanksgiving. It's a day of forgiveness and being thankful, but again, I don't need one day of the year to do this. But it's a holiday based on myths and lies that have all been distorted over the years. When I went to school, I was taught that the Indians and Pilgrims were friends and they helped each other and learned from each other. The Pilgrims learned how to grow corn and raise crops. Actually, the Pilgrims took whatever they wanted from the Native Americans and then massacred them. The Puritans were also the same people who instigated the Salem witch trials. Doesn't sound too appealing to me. In fact, for certain parts of Indian culture, Thanksgiving Day is actually a day of mourning. Many of these Native Americans were sold as slaves and placed in reservations. Now, Abraham Lincoln eventually made it a holiday, partially to celebrate the end of the Civil War. Whatever the origin of the holiday, it's antiquated and doesn't really have a purpose now. If you look at it as the Pilgrims having their first harvest in the New World, then that was hundreds of years ago and there are better things to celebrate. If you look at it as celebrating the end of the Civil War, once again, that was hundreds of years ago. There are better things to celebrate. It's one of my least favorite holidays of the year. Another holiday that has become pretty antiquated is Columbus Day. Aside from The Sopranos, I've never met anybody who's made a big deal of Columbus Day. It just blows my mind that some people and businesses actually take off and celebrate it because the public perception of Columbus has changed a lot over the years. Some view Columbus as an explorer, but other people would argue that he was a conqueror. The day was supposed to mark his discovering of America, but actions speak louder than dates to some people. I don't celebrate Columbus Day for very similar reasons why I don't like celebrating Thanksgiving. And one of the absolute worst days of the year is April Fool's Day. I hate April Fool's Day. As you go about your day, you have to wonder in the back of your mind if anything anybody says to you can be taken seriously and truthfully. I really hate having to figure that stuff out. I hate having that as a question in the back of my mind. I would rather communicate with people who can be truthful and straightforward. I don't want any pranks either. I can do that all year round. I could just go behind the corner and jump out and scare somebody, and that can make my day. Research shows that certain narcissistic personalities hate holidays because they don't like seeing other people happy celebrating them. They might not like seeing couples going out to eat and buying each other candy on Valentine's Day. Why? Because maybe they don't have a spouse of their own to do that with. With Christmas, they might get spited because children around them are getting presents, but not them. But sometimes people hate holidays because they are forced to be around dysfunctional family members. Most holidays, most commercials, most movies will jam down your throat that family is the most important thing in your life. Family should be kept together no matter what, no matter how damaging. What if your family was abusive and horrible to you? What if you don't want to see them? If your well-being and your happiness is threatened by your relationship with another human being, then that relationship has to end. Also, I can't stand how evil some parents act to their children around Christmas time. If I happen to be in a store around Christmas time, I'll often come across parents who are Christmas shopping with their kids. The kids might just be excited about Christmas, getting gifts, and going home to play with them. After all, school might be out for them, so they want to stay home and play. All they might be doing is getting excited and asking when they can go home, and their parents will just scream at them. They'll say things like, "Oh, when you have to pay for insurance and work like a slave and live a miserable adult life, then you can go and you can do whatever you want." It's like, seriously, chill out. They're just being kids. The way I see it, if you celebrate holidays, then that's your business and I respect you. If your teachings and traditions make you happy, then by all means, keep up with them as long as you're happy doing them. But I don't like the stigma against people who don't celebrate holidays. People who actively don't celebrate or want to participate have their own reasons for not doing so. In my opinion, it would be better to treat each day normally and take life as it comes. You don't need a calendar date to be nice or to have a strong personality because you can have any mindset you want any time of the year. Just take any opportunity that comes to you to grow and to be happy at your own pace. Thank you for watching.